Hey guys, what's going on? Your old buddy Tim back in the Revolved Realty studio with my pal, Alisha Merriman. She has more money than all of us combined.
Come on.
You do.
He likes to think that.
I love to think. I like to rub elbows with folks with money. So, no, Alisha is you are I think you're a financial wizard. You do rentals, you do rehabs, you do renovations. The most impressive thing about you, other than that smile, is you bought your first property at 19 and you've just never looked back. I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
As an old dog, I am very impressed by the new pup, which is why she's on my show. We are talking about investing and flipping and that sort of thing in this series of videos. We've talked about how to find flips, the importance of location. We've talked about the numbers. Now I want to talk about what we in the South call financing, or creative financing.
Yes.
Let's talk about that, because not everybody has buckets of money to go buy properties. Big buckets at her.
Oh, come on.
Anyway, let's talk about the financing. Tell us about that.
Okay, so what are we referring to whenever we talk about creative financing? So standard financing, in my opinion, is going to the bank, right? So getting more creative means that you're going, when there's a willing seller and a willing buyer agree upon terms, right? So this is the transaction. And when that happens, you have the opportunity to get creative with the terms. Real estate really can include about anything in it.
Yeah.
You can include furnishings, the car in the front yard, anything you want. It happens. It has happened.
I've had cars in my front yard. I understand. Go ahead.
But creative financing, let's talk about the first strategy that I ever used whenever I was purchasing a house, which was seller financing with a balloon note. Now
this was the house you did when you were 19.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. And I had no money. The day before I actually signed the agreement on the hood of that car, I had borrowed $5 from gas from my best friend Jared.
See, I love this story.
It was intense.
Yeah.
But and I'm sure Jared would be like, you should not be buying a house.
He'd probably like his $5 back.
Right?
Yeah.
It's happened.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that house, I actually was wise enough at the old age of 18, 19 to pull a balloon note seller financing opportunity on that house. So the terms were, we were going to get her to amortize the loan, the purchase price, which happened to be right around $20,000.
Okay.
And that was going to be amortized over 30 years. So I had a really small monthly payment.
Was there any interest?
I don't think so. I don't think there. Yeah, I know,
This
right?
lady. 30
I don't think there was
years
any
for 20
interest
grand.
on
Okay.
this. And so I had this really minimum payment. And what was I doing? I was just trying to buy time to figure out how to come up with this 20 grand. And the balloon portion means that at the end, before the actual 30 years is lived out, I have to pay it all at one time. So the final payment is whenever it's all
Whatever's
due.
left.
Whatever is left is due. And so in my particular case, I think it was like around $14,000. I had tried to pay a lot of it off, and I couldn't more than my principal amount and my monthly payment amount. And so, yeah, a balloon payment strategy is something I think everyone should entertain. If it's a house that you see every opportunity in, you don't know exactly how you're going to afford this on top of your current bills, consider the balloon note strategy.
So let me interrupt you. I think the biggest thing is you asked.
Oh, yeah, just asked.
I mean, granted, the property was, and we've talked about this. If you missed the 30-minute show we did on Real Talk, you got to go back and watch it, because it's a great story. You're 19 years old, driving down the road. You see this dilapidated property. Was this the one that had the for sale sign on the tree?
Yeah, that's it.
All right, you call the owner. You're 19. You have to borrow $5. I love this, to get to the property. And then you somehow had the wherewithal to propose that she seller finance the property.
Yeah.
which basically means rather than you giving her 20 grand, she was going to give you, what did you say? Was it 20 years, 30 years?
30 years amortized.
Gee,
and so that made the payment really small.
Right. So 30, so it's 330 years, 360 payments.
Yeah.
So 20,000 divided by 360. That is a small payment.
It was very small.
And especially because there was no interest. This lady. So anyway, that is one example of really creative financing, seller financing. Other things may be where you have to give them a part as a down payment and they carry back the note.
Yeah.
So, but the very bottom basic line is the seller finances the deal and you make payments to the seller. Mm-hmm. And in your case with the balloon note, you had 30 years in which to pay it all off in one lump sum.
Yeah.
Okay.
So let me give you a how that conversation went the first time. How did I leverage myself in that conversation to make that happen with the homeowner? Well, for most properties to meet standard FHA or conventional regulations, there has to be all appliances present except for that of a refrigerator.
Okay.
That wasn't the case.
Okay.
There can be no exposed load-bearing walls. That wasn't the case. Yeah. There can be no exposed electrical. That wasn't the case again. And the floors were similar to that of a wave pool. So,
and why did you buy this house?
Oh, exactly? I was living on a dream. The numbers.
So it basically was going to be a cash deal.
Yes, it had to be a cash deal for somebody. It had already sat on the market for a while. There was a realtor on the property. She had already kind of given up faith in it. You know, she had tried and met a ton of people there for walkthroughs. They were terrified, you know. And so because of all the circumstances, and this was a perfect scenario for me, but it's not a rare scenario. This happens a lot with these distressed sellers. So take the opportunity and ask, as a continued flipper, if you continue to do these for a living and to make an income, then actually always pitch this to the homeowners. The reason
all they can do is say no.
All they can say is no. And the fact is, I've had multiple properties be seller financed, and that just keeps me from having to buy it. I'll still lock up all my equitable interest in the property, and I'll do that through attorneys and correct paperwork, which I don't have to learn the law on that. There are professionals who do. You just take the terms to them, and they will give you the correct paperwork where you have complete control of the property. And you actually, the original purchase amount goes back to the homeowner on the sale. So that lien will be satisfied, in other words.
Yeah. So if that homeowner is in a position to do that financing for you, whether the house is paid off or you do some kind of wonky wraparound or whatever, always ask.
Always ask.
Is that going to be the title of your book? Always ask.
I like it.
Let's talk about three letters that I hear a lot, and that is OPM.
Opium,
What
yes.
is it? Not opium.
Opium.
But OPM. It's kind of the same thing, I guess.
Right.
What is OPM?
Other people's money, right? I think that's an old Dave Ramsey term there.
Yeah, I think it was around even before Dave. It was
maybe.
Like Carlton Sheets. Do you remember Carlton Sheets?
I was born in the 90s.
I bought these boots in the 70s. Carlton Sheets was a guy, he was one of the very first real estate infomercial guys.
Nice.
When I was a teenager, so I'm talking 40 years ago. And his big thing was OPM, other people's money.
Other people's
Explain
money.
how that works.
Well, other people's money, of course, that can come with a lot of different strategies behind it.
Strings.
And strings, yeah, absolutely. So points, interest, you can have a debt partner, you can have an equity partner, lots of different options there. But let's just start with the basics. Where do you find other people's money, right? That's the biggest question. Attend your local RIAs. What is a RIA? A RIA is a Real Estate Investors Association. So wherever you're chiming in to us from, I'm sure within a relatively close distance, there is a RIA. And these are found on meetup.com. They're found on Craigslist. They're found everywhere where you could possibly... where else are some other sources?
There are websites strictly dedicated to the local. I mean, just go to Google and type in
real estate meetings.
Real estate meetings with your town, and they'll come up. Yeah. And there are people in these RIAs. There are the foot soldiers and there are the generals. The foot soldiers are the ones out looking for the deals. The generals are the ones sitting there with the cash to fund those deals.
They're funding them. So it begs the question for regular people, how can someone put up a sign that says we buy houses to anyone that drives by, right?
Yeah.
And it's not that those pockets are just unlimited. It's that the person who put up that sign has multiple different individuals they pull from.
Yep.
And these individuals actually attend these RIA meetings. And the best advice I could give is get there, keep showing up. They will show themselves to you, maybe not immediately, but build rapport, build a network, because your network becomes your net worth in those groups. And I think that Jim Ingersoll uses those two terms hand in hand a lot. And it's so true. It's so true. So the individuals who put out those signs, they couldn't do that without knowing these other parties.
Yeah. So the way the OPM, other people's money, works is, let's say I'm riding around one day, I see a house that I think would be a good candidate to be flipped or whatever.
Right.
I don't have the money. I go to someone with means and I make them a proposal. If you will fund it, we'll buy it, I'll do the work, I'll oversee it, whatever. And then is there, you get paid back and then there's a split of the profits? Or how does that generally work?
It all depends on the lender.
Okay.
But just know that you're in control of this deal.
Even though you're using their money.
Even though you're using their money, you can come up with the terms behind the scenes. And it's your deal to take to them. If they don't bite, move on. Right. The deals are the unicorns in this situation. It's not the lenders. Yeah. There's plenty of money out there to be pulled. That's not the rare thing. The deals are the rare thing. Right. So you stick to your terms and put it out there. Now, you want to be realistic, of course. So the percentages that I've seen, if it's individuals who are just rolling over their retirement accounts into self-directed accounts, where they're traditionally going to make 1% or something, if you offer that individual 7 or 8%, they're thrilled. They're over the moon thrilled with that kind of investment. But a seasoned investor who does that for a living, they might want 10 or 12%. Yeah. Points is something else. They may ask for points up front. Some of them may ask for points if the interest is really low, interest as well, and then part equity. What that means is actually on the sale, if you go over X amount of dollars, maybe they get a certain percentage of that, So there's a lot of different ways that you can structure these deals, but those unicorns, they exist. Yeah, there's a lot of them.
I think you're only limited to your imagination when you come up with these creative finance.
Oh, yeah.
Now, you got to realize that the ladies and gentlemen who are the money people in this situation, they do this a lot.
They do it all the time.
They are going to make their money. Yes. That's why I said all money comes with strings. So it's not like you're going to walk up to some rich doctor and he's going to give you $100,000 in a bag and tell you to bring him back 101.
No, they want.
There are contracts involved. It's very up and up. I've never seen one of these work on a handshake. There's always a piece of paper involved. But traditionally, it is a good option. I mean, if you're someone who your credit is shot, you have no credit. You have no way. I can't tell you how many people I know that have started off dirt poor, belly up, bankrupt, and are wealthy now because they used OPM.
Right, other people's money.
Other people's money,
But so the process is a lot faster to get funded. You're not having to go through the conventional processes of having your credit pulled. And they don't really judge you on your credit. They will judge you on your history in the industry. Yeah. But they're judging the value of the house. So
they're judging you on the deal.
On the deal, yeah. So whenever the deal actually takes place, what does that lender get in return? They get a promissory note and a mortgage, 2 pieces of paper that secure their loan as most of the time first lien holder on the property. And when that happens, they want to know that if this deal falls through and you don't sell it, or they don't get paid, or terms go over and you don't do an extension, then they actually get the house. And that's what a lot of times they don't
protected.
Want it.
They're protected. And that might present an opportunity to someone else.
Exactly.
I mean, I've heard of investors who did take possession of a house and then they just turn around and find someone else to take it over. Right. One thing you talk about a lot is the automatic millionaire strategy.
Yes.
Talk about that a little bit.
All right. So there's actually a book written called The Automatic Millionaire. And that strategy is where a husband and wife, let's take as an example, move into a property and they live there for 2 or 3 years. You want it to be at least over 2 years. And then sell the property and they sell up. So they're moving to a nicer home. They sell it, they let the market inflate a little bit, and then they sell And by waiting 2 years, they're not actually eligible to pay the capital gains tax on that. And I think for one person living single is $250,000 tax-free capital gains. 2 people married filing jointly, it's $500,000 capital gains free, which is huge. If you haven't had the pleasure of paying Uncle Sam capital gains, usually it's I think it starts minimum at 15% federal, and then it's an additional 5% state, so 17 combined minimum.
Yeah, that's a hard check to write.
Oh, man. But yes, sell the property up every single time.
So the strategy is you buy a property, you live in it for at least 2 years, you let that property go up in value, you sell it, you buy it again, and you just repeat that process.
And you pocket every time.
And you can start off with a $150,000 home, and in 10 years you could be in $1 million home. Right. Simply by ratcheting it up that way.
That's a good book. It's a good book. The Automatic Millionaire Strategy.
Okay, very good. Yeah. Well, there are a lot of different ways to finance a deal. You do not have to have a whole bunch of money. In fact, most people don't to start out with.
They don't.
You get creative. You talk a lady into giving you a 30-year balloon on a $20,000. Your payment's like $1.50 a month.
Add 1 zero, but yeah, it was close.
Pretty cheap. So great information. We hope you're enjoying this series of videos. This is actually number 6. We've got, we'll probably do at least 6 more of these babies. Yeah. So the next time we meet, I want to talk about the people involved. Okay. Because you've got to have a team. You can't do this on your own because there's just too much. So we're going to talk about team. If folks want to get in touch with you, how do they do so?
Well, the best way would probably be via email, and my email address is homeresurrection@gmail.com, and you can find us and keep up with current events, new projects, deals coming in, send me deals at facebook.com/homeresurrection, the same at Instagram, and so we hope to hear from you.
Do you have a trunk full of those bandit signs? Do you do those?
I don't. No, I let all the little scouts do that for me and funnel them my way. And I give them a fee.
I know a guy, I think he just drives down the road and throws them out, and they land in the median. And he does very well. All right, guys, if I can do anything for you when it comes to real estate, 679-0704. Hope you're enjoying this series. And next time, we're going to talk about who to put on your team because you can't do it alone.
Yep.
All right. We'll see you later.
Bye.
Bye.